Yes, Tango Sir. I'm literally Tango Sir's the next block over.
Yo, Bill.
On the next block.
Hey, hey.
Hello, hello.
Yeah.
Nice to see you, my friend.
And then there's still have some weird relationship with the bodega next to it.
Hi, Julie. Hi, Glenn.
Hello, how are you guys?
Doing great. Merry Christmas.
Hey, Bill.
Brian, how are you?
I'm very good. Hey, Glenn.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Brian, Wes, Bill.
You too, Glenn. Julie, good hearing your voice, Julie.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
You too, Julie.
You?
So, Wes, I'm excited about that opportunity. I think they're going to be. I'll make an announcement during the meeting about sponsors being able to link to our club and the classic website. I think that can help.
Thank you for doing it and taking advantage of it, Bill. You're a great example for it. I think that's wonderful. I thank Julie and George for coming up with a great idea there.
Yeah.
And Wes, just so you know, the way it's going to work is I'm going to add a page to Club Runner as a classic page. That'll be up for at least a year with all the new information, with the links that Bill's talking about. And then it'll seamlessly be able to go back and forth to Better Unite. Like if you want to buy tickets, it bounces to Better Unite. You want to learn more about sponsorship, it bounces back over to us, and so I'll work on that.
Is Club Runner, is the website the .org or the .com, Tom?
It's the real thing is .ca, but it is .com. It's SCHERotary.org is our site.
That's the alias. The alias for our website is SCHERotary.org. I created that. It is something that merely redirects to a site that happens to be a .ca because it's Canada, but as Tom said, it's a .com.
The way I understand it, it's the .org that gives a special leverages the juice into the SEOs, is what I understand. That's my. Now you're talking to someone who knows very little about tech, and this is.
So yeah, Bill, what'll happen is when you put on your site that you are a contributor to the Schaumburg Hoffman Rotary Club, you'll link it to, on your site. It'll be SCHERotary.org, and that will help you. And because our site is a nonprofit site, even though it's not .org, it's part of Rotary, it'll help you because we're bouncing it back to you.
Very well said, Tom.
So I'll mansplain it to you, Bill. Don't worry your little pretty hate face about it. We'll take care of it.
Tom, you mansplain like the best of them. Boy, I love you mansplain by Tom.
My chicken sandwich, Tom.
You just made my day. The only thing would have been better if Steve Lamb would have been smoking a cigar mansplaining it to me.
You go, sweetheart. Tell you what.
Hey, Steve, I wonder if we could all come to your smoke.
You're more than welcome.
What do you think, Glenn? I think we should do that.
What's that? I didn't hear you.
I said, I think we should all go to Steve Lamp's office and have a smoker.
Hey, that's not a bad idea.
He's got that
some
rubber
brandy
fan in there.
Not a Rotary Fellowship.
I see that smoke going straight up.
Hey. Daryl Moon's got a cigar there too.
Glenn, Daryl. We get about a half a dozen guys in there, Steve. Is your office big enough?
I'm gonna have to clean up a little bit.
I want you guys to know I've had a cigar every day this week outside.
But
Gotta rub it in, don't you?
You're a loyal cigar smoker.
That looks like a Cuban too, Daryl.
Yeah, well, it's a Cohiba, but it's not a Cuban. I believe it's a
I had
Dominican.
one and I froze my butt off.
That's a lot of
Vinny,
freezing then, isn't it, Vince?
Hey.
Vinny,
Boy.
Vince, I smoke in my cigar in the car in the garage.
I used to do that until I set my garage on fire.
Well, I opened the door first.
So just let that be a warning to you, Daryl.
I'm a very careful smoker.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Mm.
Till I saw flame shooting up my wall, and then I figured out, hey, that's not a good idea.
So I will get a pair of boots on and a big coat, and I'll be headed out the minute this meeting's over.
Well, good
Hey,
for
Dad,
you.
nice to see you, man.
Wes, I have a kudos for you. I have this business transaction, client of mine selling a business. We're going to do it remotely. And I said to the guy, should we do Zoom? He says, no, let's do WebEx. WebEx is much better. It's been around for 10 years and it's blah, 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 blah. And he doesn't know you though.
I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying it's the best. Right? Terry, you were muted, but I saw you say something.
Thank you. I said you've always been ahead of the curve.
I have tried other video conferencing software over the past couple of weeks, trying to find a way for us to do it better than we're doing it. And guys, it just doesn't exist. It just doesn't. And I get that a lot of us hate this. I hate it too. I attended a large 500 person meeting, a big event that was a paid event last weekend or 2 weekends ago now. 500 people, it's well funded. They were putting on a big thing, and even they, with all the money and all the planning in the world, couldn't pull it off without glitches and hitches of the same ilk that we have here every week. So,
Well, last Saturday, I went to a Jewish wedding in Amarillo, Texas. Very interesting. And it worked out well. It went well,
Virtually?
virtually,
on what platform?
on Zoom.
Oh, good to know.
And it really worked out well. What was fun is that they put people in chat rooms like you'd be sitting at a table. And you got a chance to interact with the people at your table by a chat room.
How did the groom step on the glass?
Yes.
Did they get married under the chuppah?
Yep.
Well, I was on Zoom.
Oh, they had Jews in Amarillo, Texas.
Yeah. There was no way to get to Amarillo, Texas without taking at least 1 or 2 airplanes. So they started off with 50 people. And by the time the wedding was held, there was about 19 people.
I didn't think there were any Jews in Amarillo, Texas. How'd that happen?
That's what I said.
Yep.
Well, I was on a Zoom meeting last night for a band concert for my grandson, Charlie, at Meade Junior High School. And, between the two bands, there's probably 100 kids. And it went okay. The sound wasn't great, but it was all right.
You're not there for the sound. It's only a concert.
Vince, it's junior high kids. You really expect the sound to be good?
Oh, what grade was it? Was it 7th or 8th?
But he's in 8th grade.
My 8th grade is pretty much better than 7th. A whole lot better.
Right. And it's a whole lot better than 5th. I mean,
Oh, well, yeah. I've been to all those.
You go to a fifth grade concert and it's painful.
Hi, Sarah.
High school is really good. I got a
Hi,
great.
Daryl. Who you got? Who do you got with us, Daryl?
Jane.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hey, Gene.
Hi, Gene.
Hi, Terry. Hi, everybody.
Hey, Barry.
Howdy.
I'll pass this to Governor Clark.
Good afternoon.
Royal Highness. I'm really surprised Gene hasn't gone up the chain to become a district governor.
Yeah, who is that? Who is that?
Too hard of an act to follow after Julie and Mike, Don, Russ. Nope.
Fabulous.
So Gigi, were you in the club when Russ Granzo was in the club?
I wasn't in the club when he was district governor. That was, he was here when the first women were allowed. I think he was the district governor at the time. I can stand corrected if that's not true. But yeah, I just asked and Uncle Joe and Russ, and were fun times.
Carol Zeb, Doc Moon.
I didn't know that.
What?
I never knew Doc Moon.
Oh, he was quite a gentleman, wasn't he, Daryl?
He was unusual.
He would have liked you, Jim. He liked the women.
What's his middle name?
He would have liked Pat. He liked the women. Mary Jo. Yeah. And the interesting thing is, if you went out with him somewhere and go for a drink, he would never let you buy. Never.
Money was no good with him around.
That's right.
Okay. Mackenzie, say goodbye to everybody.
Bye, Mackenzie.
Hi, Mackenzie.
Goodbye. Who's he, Granny?
Hey, Samantha. Hey, Sean. I think we got Bob Fleischer there too. Hey, Bob.
Hi there.
Daryl, does Debbie like it when you call her Granny?
I'm sorry, Alan.
Does Debbie like it when you call her Granny?
Yeah. Mackenzie even says it now. It was pretty cute for a while because she couldn't say Grammy, so she called her Debbie. So and every time somebody would come over, she'd say Debbie, Debbie, and they'd all laugh, and of course then she'd say it more.
Who's
Michael.
user 3?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure that out too.
Hi. How you feeling, buddy?
So Tom, you have a quick change?
So Wes, you said hello to Samantha, but I don't see her.
I don't see her either. I see that she's on the meeting, but her video is off. She's videoless.
And why are you wearing a mask?
Because I'm in a crowded office. So call in user. If you called into the meeting, can you just say hi to us right now so we know who you are? Ryan will never know.
Roger, I love your sweater.
Maybe.
Looks a jacket, very nice.
Oh, Roger Smith. That's a heck of a jacket, my friend.
We should just light you up.
It's polyester. I probably wouldn't light that thing on fire.
Wait a minute.
Hey, Joe, how are you? We've had the pleasure of meeting you.
Could I ask a technical question? Is there a way to get a speaker view? There's something I've never figured out how to do that.
Up here, up in the corner.
Are you entering an ugly sweater contest?
Eileen, what time do we show up Sunday?
WebEx.
Oh, it's WebEx? Oh, I
Send
don't
out a
know.
note at 11.
11, okay.
We'll by 1, and I'll make an announcement.
Okay.
That, 'cause I've got a list of names, people that I honestly I couldn't catch everybody that raised their hands last week. We had a real luge. So I grabbed half a dozen names that I'd like to make sure they can be there, and then this can also use an extra pair of hands or two at the barn on Saturday. We've got plenty of things to go around. How is it? How do you get the speakers? You click on that upper left.
So it's for me, it's in the top right of the screen, Bill. I don't know if you're on your laptop or on your phone or not. If you're on your phone, it'll be harder, but on the laptop, you take your mouse on the top right-hand corner, there's a little thing that says, it is a button which you view from grid, stage, or focus, which is one of a couple of different ones that can change how you are looking at it if you move the mouse around.
To focus.
So look for the thing that says layout. Yeah, there you go.
I got stage. I got, oh, there you are, big Wes. Hi.
Hi, everyone. Excellent. So I see that the time is now 12:15. So with that, I'm going to call this meeting to order. There we go. Today is Friday, December 18th. It is the 24th. Notable because we are now halfway through this thing. Welcome to all. I think we have a fabulous meeting that is planned today. We have a legendary Chicago reporter coming to talk to us. Thanks to our man, Bob Fleischer, for that. But we're going to start the way that we always do with the Pledge of Allegiance. And I'm going to ask Julie Clark, who's very good at unmuting herself, to lead us in the pledge today. Julie, can you give me about 15 seconds to get this up on the screen? And we will start. Almost there. After you.
Are we standing? I feel like I should stand. Okay.
Go ahead, please do.
I pledge allegiance to the flag, the United States of America, to the republic for which we stand,
one nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for
some of the people who live here.
Thank you, Drew. We appreciate it, and Alan for your rendition of that you always hit us with.
I don't know why it cracks me up every week, and then when I do it at a different meeting, I think it's crazy.
It's messed up. It's in all of our heads now, right? Gary Anderson, would you mind unmuting yourself and ask you to lead us in the four-way pact and the way I interact with others?
Sure. Four-way pact. I'll have the courage to tell the whole truth. I'll be kind in the way I tell it. I'll be fair and not seek selfish advantage. I'll have an open heart and an open mind.
Thank you very much. And I'll ask Jack Lucas, if you wouldn't mind. Jack, unmute yourself. And could you lead us in invocation today, and especially ask God to bless our connections so we have a good...
We're shutting down, so it's like we should be breaking down.
Dear God, we give thanks for this day and for the Rotarians and guests that are with us today. We ask a blessing for this holiday season on everyone and for the projects that Rotarians are working on throughout the world. Bless this meeting to our use. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Jack. Thank you. We appreciate it. Looking around to see if we have any guests to introduce this week. I'm looking around and I don't know who are. I see Schaumburg Rotary. That's Don Miner. I see PT36. That's Jody. And I see some call-in people. I'm not sure I see any guests unless someone wants to wave their hand furiously at me, and I don't see any. which is okay because we can go right into the good news of the week. And we have a couple of good news stories. And I want to say thank you to Nanette for sharing with me the first one that she saw in the Daily Herald this week. And I'm always interested in how they do this when this happens. When a veteran passes away, they can't contact any of the family. What do they do? And it turns out that a Marine veteran of the Vietnam War was buried this week in Abraham Lincoln National Cemetery, and a funeral home out in Elgin put on his funeral for free and gave him full honors after they tried to contact his family and no one was there. So congratulations and thanks to a funeral home for doing that for a veteran for free. And thank you to Nanette for sharing that one with me.
Did you see, can I just follow up with that, Wes? And I think yesterday they did find some distant relatives of his came forward. His mother is not doing well and she's in a nursing home. His wife has passed and I think one of his children passed, but they did eventually, because of the story, eventually find some family. So,
oh, wow.
They did find family.
Thank you for sharing the update, Joe. I appreciate that. Second good news story of the week, Henry the Crocodile celebrated his 120th birthday this week. Just think about all the things that Henry the Crocodile has seen. And I hear that they found out how old he is by cutting his tail and counting the rings. Really interesting, right? That's not true. That didn't happen. That didn't happen. But the third good news story of the week, and I need to stop sharing really quick to share this with you. This is going to make anyone who wears glasses feel good. I saw a video this week by if anyone knows who Tanya Babich is. She is a reporter for ABC7, just sort of going with the ABC7 theme that we've had. Tanya wore glasses during a newscast last Friday and got castigated for it. And her response is something you just need to watch.
In the studio. Sure sounds like it, Roz. Thank you. Thanks so much for joining us on this Friday morning. Before we go, I just want to say thanks to the many of you who've reached out this week to say that you've liked seeing me in glasses, and some of you have also asked why I'm wearing them. Here's the story. I learned last week that one of my daughters was not wearing hers because she was afraid of what people in her class would say or think about her. So in a gesture of solidarity, I've been wearing mine all week to make this point. Whatever people say or think about you is none of your business. Just be yourself, authentically and unapologetically. The rest will work itself out. We'll leave you now with these pictures of some celebrities who wear.
Just thought I would share that and say, congratulations to someone stepping up and doing something really good. And I hope that puts a smile on your face the same way it did for me. She runs the rest of the video, and it's just celebrities wearing glasses as well. But I thought that was really important to say. So thank you guys for sending in your good news stories of the week. And please keep them coming. If you see them and I missed them, I'd love to hear about them. And it's a great update that Mary Jo shared with us. So I'm hoping that puts some people in a good mood, maybe good enough to share with us what makes you happy this week and give a couple of happy dollars to our club. And I haven't in a while, and I hope you'll raise your hand and give some happy dollars. I'll go ahead and start this one off. I have a good 5 happy dollars to give to the club. I was very pleased to hear on Thursday that Caitlin's dad, who is a dentist in Central Illinois, was given access to and received the coronavirus vaccine. So I'm incredibly happy about that, we all now know somebody who's gotten it and he's doing well. So I'm $5 happy for him getting the coronavirus vaccine and for all of us too soon. Saw Jim Fabrini. We'll go Jim and then Mary Jo, and go ahead and wave your hand at me and I'll put you on the list.
Okay, so I opened up a new TikTok account, and I know you guys don't know what that is, but it's a social media account. And so I watch a couple of TikToks every day, and one of the things I saw on it was these cookies that are called Rosie's Place cookies. They're in like Indianapolis area. So I went and bought them, and oh my God, these things! I'm not going to have any teeth left at the end of this at the end of the week because they're that good. So Rosie's Place in Indianapolis, check it out.
You bought enough to share, right?
No, I did not. I did. Unfortunately, they're all gone. So sorry. Anyways, $5 for Rosie's Place cookies.
Nice. Thank you, Jim. Good lead. Mary Jo, and then we'll go Bruce Stocky, and then Pat.
I am $5 happy because, with unbeknownst to me, I have been good friends with Pat's daughter-in-law and have seen her two grandsons grow up with my daughter since they were 3 years old. So I'm amazed at small world, but very, very good family. Been good friends with them many years. So nice to make that connection.
Nice. Thank you for sharing that. Bruce Stocky. Go ahead and unmute yourself, my friend. Give me 1 second.
Go, unmute me. There we go. I am $5 happy because I was supposed to do the buzz last week and I got super, super busy. And my dear friend Roger stepped up to the plate and did an excellent buzz for me. And that makes me $5 happy.
Me too. Always makes me happy getting the buzz every week. You guys do such a tremendous job. Although, of course, missing Bruce's prose was sorely missed, but I'm sure we'll catch you again soon. Pat Gronwell, did I see you with your hand up?
Yes.
Forgive me if not. Oh, go ahead.
I am $55 happy because in almost exactly 4 hours, my husband and I will have been married for 55 years.
Wow.
And we're still listening to each other after Corona shutdown.
In a row?
Good foundation.
In a row.
Congratulations, Pat. That's wonderful. 55 years to you and Ken. Wonderful. Julie just popped a bottle of champagne for you too. That's great. Who else is happy out there? Anyone else happy? Anyone waving at me that I don't currently see? And if not, that's all right, because we have a lot to get to today during this meeting. Going to move into club business and announcements. Oh, there's Ed. Hey, what's up, Ed? Hey. Club business and announcements, and I know that there are a few. I just wanted to start out with one thing from me. It is halfway through this year, and I kind of just wanted to take 1 minute to just express my thankfulness to everyone who show up here every single week, who, even when the circumstances around us have made it hard to do. WebEx stinks. We're all depressed. Everything, you still made this club a priority. And through those actions showed that you make your fellow Rotarians a priority, being here every week or as often as you can. You are what makes this construct a reality every week that we do. And it's for you that I am so incredibly thankful for this holiday season. So to every one of you guys, know that you make the world go round and how much I appreciate it. Thank you. We got some stuff to go for. I see Eileen has some business to talk about, and I think Bill Kelly has some business to talk about, and I'll hand over the floor to them. You're muted, Eileen.
Two things are happening this weekend. The barn is having their final social Saturday of the year, and Glenn Garlick and Chris and Jack are signed up. If they could get one or two more people, first to raise your hand, one or two more people. Okay, Mary Jo, and one more. They don't need more than that because they've got a pretty good system set up. So Mary Jo and I couldn't see any others. Was there anybody else?
Holly had her hand up.
Yeah.
All right, so Holly and Mary Jo, I'll let Chris know. I don't know if he's on the call. The usual time. Jack, what time, since we're doing the drive-by, do you guys get there now?
I usually get there about 10. When they're serving Chinese, you have to get there earlier, but I don't know of anything unusual, so 10 o'clock is probably fine.
Yeah, I think everything's prepackaged this week is what Chris said, so it'll be good. So 10 o'clock, and you're done by what, 12?
Probably 1:30.
1:30? Okay.
Or 1:30.
Okay. And then for our veterans dinner, the names I have on my list, and I'll be sending an email out to each of you, that I caught your hands last week. This is for Sunday, the 20th, being at Chandler's around 11 o'clock. I have Sam, Bill Landwehr, Jack, Bob Flesher, John Selke, and Chris. Is there anyone on that list that no longer can do that? And then I will send it out. So if you can be there around 11, what we're going to do is the people that are going to deliver meals to the homebound veterans are all with Trickster. They will be there about 11:15, and they'll pick up their 50 meals first. And then we'll have the other people that are coming, they're all registered, and Joe will check them in. And they've been assigned 15-minute intervals to arrive. So it'll space it out a little bit. And our role is simply to get the food from the Chandlers into their cars, and they will be pulling up under the porte cochere. So if the weather's bad, we're covered. I'm going to take some banners down to Chandlers, and we'll be sending a thank you note out to Chandlers. And just so you know, they're doing a full turkey dinner, everything. And this year they're including dessert, which in the past volunteers brought in. They were all donated. And it includes the high cost of the plastic containers now that they deliver food in. Plus, Chandler's is closed. So they're coming in, Bob and one of his chefs are coming in on their day off, and one of the waitresses, to prepare this dinner for 215 veterans and their immediate families. And I think we owe them a big thanks. And they're doing that for $7 a person. $7 a person. And then we had some left, and we gave that to Joe at Trickster to pick up some gifts for the homebound veterans. And one of the big things they will always ask for is chocolate. So he's got big chocolate bars and a few other things that will be going to the homebound veterans. So Rotary Club of Schaumburg-Hoffman Estates, you've done it again. This is going to be a great day for a bunch of veterans in our community. So thank you. And I'll get an email out to everybody that I mentioned so that you've got the details. You'll be out of there by 1 o'clock.
Nice job,
So Max, you'll
Rotarians.
be there 2 hours. 2 hours at Chandler's. And I wish we could have more people, but we can't. We don't need more, because it's just going to be taking it from Chandler's and putting it in the cars. Any questions?
It's got to make you all really proud, leaving this meeting, whether you're participating or not, to see what this club's doing. That makes me feel really darn
Absolutely.
good, and especially going into the holidays, it's just the right feeling that we want to strike. Congratulations and thank you, Eileen. Bill Kelly, did you have anything you wanted to share with us about the Classic? And then we're going to move into club assembly.
Absolutely. Thanks, Wes. First of all, our esteemed Classic co-chairs, George Panopoulos, have brought together a phenomenal sponsorship opportunity especially for our club businesses. And thanks to Tom Ghosh and Wes, I know Tom's going to work on this to get links to our businesses on the club's website and the Classic page website for any sponsors that are at the bronze level or above. The bronze level is $2,500. And this is for those who know about SEO, search engine optimization, a powerful tool, from what I understand, when you have your business links on a not-for-profit organization website. So this is a great opportunity to out some reminders to our club businesses if they're willing to step up to the plate. This is a year end, and we're always looking for tax deductions. So whether you're a payment this year to get the tax benefit of 2020 or next year, but take it that there'll be an benefit for the entire year that would reflect the generosity of our businesses that support our Classic. And I'm happy to report that the law firm of Kelly & Kelly has step up to the $2,500 sponsorship level. So, and by the way, that's the same amount of money that it used to be for the $2,500 level, but we don't have the meals now. So it's the same kind of out-of-pocket cost, but we're just not eating and attending the banquet. So wonderful sponsorship opportunity, wonderful way to build up our foundation for the awesome work we do. Thank you for all the work you guys are doing, especially Tom, Julie, and George. That's my announcement.
So am I clear then that means that 2,500, that's going into the foundation, whereas in the past we would have half of that would be coming out for meals.
Absolutely.
So
correct.
I leave. Great
point.
Yep. So that's a lot more money into our foundation, a lot more money going out to our community organizations and scholarships. That's exactly what that's going to mean.
Wow.
So it's a wonderful opportunity and some nice PR for our businesses who can step up to the plate. So thanks.
Thank you to Bill and to Kelly for stepping up, and to certainly Julie and George for coming up with a great idea and add some value to what we're doing for our sponsors this year. This is the opportunity for all of us, is that there is not that overhead like there has been in the past. There still will be, as Julie says, but this is the opportunity for our club. So thank you guys for that. I'm going to turn it over to Tom Ghost so we can open up a club assembly. Tom?
What do I got to do here? Sorry.
We are electing officers, Tom.
Got it. Oh, so you want to see the officers, and I will show that to you. Sorry. A little offer. This is the slate as I put it together for next year. The next president, obviously me, you've already agreed on that. You can't take that back. Brian is the treasurer. You already agreed on that. You can't take that back. But we do have an incoming, somebody on the president track is Rachel, who, yes, has been absent from our Zooms. She's going to be definitely more involved and getting more involved right after the first of the year. A few people that will be staying on because they got gypped out of this year, doing some of the things that they wanted to do. Sarah Billmeyer, Community Service. Nancy with Fellowship. Mary Jo with International Service. And if you jump down to the bottom, Bob Fleischer will be has agreed to stay on too. Membership, Mary Sproul from Top Golf has some amazingly wonderful ideas, and she also wants to incorporate membership ideas into the Classic. Public Image, Pat Gronwald. Youth Service, which is also, I have it mistyped here, but you know what I'm talking about. I did it last year. Jim Fabrini is doing it this year for Holly Fath. And then our Classic Committee, what I wanted to do was get a newer member and an old experienced member. And so we have Sam DiMaria and Debbie Schmidt working together on the Classic, and Mary Sproul with some awesome ideas as a membership driver. So I believe somebody has to have
a motion that we accept the slate as presented.
And a second. Second that motion.
I have to say it. All in favor?
Aye.
Looks like everybody. Anybody opposed? All right.
Congratulations, Tom.
So moved. Thank you very much. So now all you people that are on this list and a few others that I talked to that are going to be also helping out, just be ready for some things going on in the first 6 months here so that we can get the ground running when we take over in the beginning of July. Thank you so much.
Congratulations, and thank you to those who are raising their hand to serve again, making the world go around, guys. Thank you for that.
West Pat has a question.
Go ahead, Pat.
Do we need to formally elect Brian as the president-elect? It wasn't on the looked at.
That is a good point. I did not have him written as president-elect. It's in our club, the treasurer is also the president-elect, and it wasn't listed on there. So a motion to allow.
I'll amend my motion to accept the president-elect as being the secretary also.
Well spoken, Terry Park. I appreciate it.
And I'll accept that as the second.
Great. And then all in favor?
Hold on for a second.
Anybody
Hold on for a
opposed?
second. Terry made a motion to accept him as secretary also. It's not secretary, it's president-elect treasurer.
He was identifying who it was.
Current secretary. All right. We are all in, I think. It's all good.
Thank you.
While I'm in control, you want me to do some raffling?
Yeah, let's go ahead and move right into that, and then we're going to do a fun frolic as soon as that's over, and then we're going to have a fabulous speaker.
All righty. Well, here we are, everybody. We have an increase in the number of people that are participating. There are now 15 people here. I will show you that we are shuffling. There it is. I did change the colors, not because it's Bears colors. Colors. So here we go, everybody. You guys ready? The excitement mounts. Here's the spin. All right, Pat Growall. So we have a picture of the Queen of Hearts. What number are you looking for here?
I will go with number 31.
Number 31. All right. Well,
Why
I'm going
don't
to
you go
stop.
for your anniversary 55?
There's not enough there. So here it is.
54.
I've got my hammer and my chisel. And it's very hard work here. 31.
Suspense. Every
It's
week.
like paint by numbers here. Oh, why'd I stop the music? There you go. There you go. Oh, well done. I didn't cut deep enough. No jokes. All right. All right, here we go. We have a number that came up, and it's number, can you see it? It is a 5 of diamonds, which means absolutely nothing. Wah, wah, wah.
Thanks for playing. Till next week. Let's turn it over, and thank you, Tom, to our sage fine master, Mr. Alan Gabe.
Thank you. Mr. Tom Meinecke's our guest speaker. I want to give him a lot of time. Well, this is how we help to raise money so we can do all of our wonderful things. This week, ladies and gentlemen, I sent out a questionnaire about your favorite holiday movie, and it did not have to be, it could be any holiday. And I got some wonderful answers, but I'm going to turn it into like a quiz. I watch, and this is, of course, on the honor system, 4-way test, is it the truth? The top 3 response movie, surprisingly, It's a Wonderful Life, White Christmas, and Christmas Vacation. If you think that White Christmas was the most popular movie amongst Rotarians who responded, please indicate so by raising your hand. If you thought that Christmas Vacation was the #1 requested movie, raise your hand. And if you thought it was A Wonderful Life was the best, most responded one, raise your hand. So everybody who voted for White Christmas, sorry. Everybody who voted for Christmas Vacation, sorry, they tie for second place. The winner and current champion, It's a Wonderful Life. And Bill Kelly shared something with me that I'm going to share with everybody here. There's an alternative ending to It's a Wonderful Life done by Saturday Night Live. You can Google it, and then you're going to laugh and laugh and laugh. So I'm going to suggest after the meeting, you may want to look at that. Oh, by the way, who is doing the buzz today? Okay, Nanette, I will send you all the answers, okay? So going on the quizzes, the theme, I was thinking about some celebrities. I'm going to give you the name of a celebrity and then whose real name, and then you're going to tell me what their stage name was. The first one is Archibald Leach. Here are the three choices: David Niven, Cary Grant, Robert Montgomery. If you think Archibald Leach's real name, stage name is David Niven, raise your hand. If you think it's Cary Grant, raise your hand. And if you think it's Robert Montgomery, raise your hand. Archibald Leach, who had been a circus performer before coming to become an actor, is the debonair, bon vivant, man about town, Cary Grant. So if you do not say Cary Grant, that's a $2 fine. Also, if you do not vote for It's a Wonderful Life, that's $2. The next one is in the music genre. So Bruce, I'm sure, is going to be very strong on this. And Bruce, I'm not going to allow you to vote until the end. You'll have to vote to yourself. I don't want people to look at you and say, well, Bruce knows music, so I'm not going to say anything. Okay? So the choices are, the choices are Walden, W-A-L-D-E-N was the first name. Casrotto, C-A-S-R-O-T-T-O. Is this Frankie Avalon, Paul Anka, or Bobby Darin? If you thought it was Frankie Avalon, raise your hand. If you thought it was Paul Anka, raise your hand. Well, folks, it was the one and the only Bobby Darin, who was originally Walden Casrotto. Gee, why did he change his name? So the next one is, the actor's real name is Bernard Schwartz. Is that Clark Gable, Roger Moore, or Tony Curtis? How many people think it was Clark Gable? How many people think it was Roger Moore? It was that Some Like It Hot star, the one inimitable Tony Curtis, born as Bernard Schwartz. And the last one is his real name, and it's a wild thing that this man would change his name. It was Issur, I-S-S-U-R, Danilovich, D-A-N-I-E-L-O-V-I-T-C-H. Wouldn't that look great on a billboard? Was that Kirk Douglas, Roger Moore, or Robert Mitchum? How many people think it's Kirk Douglas? How many people think it's Roger Moore? How many people think it's Robert Mitchum? It's Kirk Douglas, the man with the cleft chin. So if you did not pick Kirk Douglas, that'll be $2. So as we have gone through with these Zoom meetings and the weekly questions, if you didn't give me a response, that'll be $2. We had some very interesting response. There were two people whose response were dear to my heart. Their favorite holiday movie was that wonderful, thought-provoking, emotional, wonderful, humorous Die Hard. So Julie Langlow and Steve Lamb thought that was their favorite holiday movie. Julie Langlow, sorry, you were the last one to respond, so that would be $2. So these questions tell you a lot about our numbers. Bruce Stopke's favorite holiday movie was The Nightmare Before Christmas. When do you're an attorney, Bruce, so that'll be $2. Daryl, he's another lighthearted one. That's exactly what he says. It was so lighthearted. He picked St. Valentine's Day Massacre. Eileen, I loved her answer. Hers was trains, planes, and automobiles, because so many of us have lived it. So each of you, that'll be $2. I think one of my favorite ones was Don Miner. And we always know Don always tells the truth. His favorite movie, holiday movie, is The Holiday. Why? We love this sentimentality and feel-good finish. And then he goes on to say, a hot Cameron Diaz doesn't hurt the plot in my attention. Good for you, Don. That'll be $2. So going on, if you do not respond this week, that'll be $2. If you're not wearing your pin, that'll be $2. If you're late to the meeting, that'll be $2. Daryl, I don't know if you ever looked at your screen name, but it's capital M, capital O, small n. So are we supposed to pronounce it Moan? Well, whichever way we pronounce it, that'll be $2. If you were at the board meeting today and you left early, that'll be $2. This is one that's near and dear to me. If you did not reach out to a fellow Rotarian this week for something other than Rotary business, that'll be $3. So I love the thing that Wes does at the beginning, the happy, good nature. And it was about the woman wearing glasses. So if you are not wearing glasses today at the meeting, that'll be $2. Jim Fabrini, I think you should see Caitlin's father for your new cavities from all these cookies that you didn't share with anybody in the club. So that'll be $2. Anyone who is eating or had eaten Jimmy John's during the meeting, that would be $2. And believe it or not, Wes, do we have a meeting on the 31st? No? I can't hear you.
Sorry, not for the next 2 weeks. We are off.
Okay. So since, we're not going to have a meeting for 2 weeks, and Wes and Tom are very concerned about the budget, I have a few more fines. If you're not wearing Rotary attire, that'll be $3. Now, listen carefully to this one. If you are wearing Rotary attire, this fine does not go to you, okay? If you are not wearing Rotary attire and you are not wearing a holiday outfit or something festive like Tom Gosch and Roger Smith, that'll be $3. It's a holiday, folks. No, Jim, too late. Too late, Jim. You still have to pay the $3. As every week, if you're wearing the same Rotary attire that I'm wearing, you get a pass. I was going to wear the sweater that Steve Lamp is wearing. Unfortunately, Steve, I'm sorry, but I had to be in court, so I just switched ties rather than go do a full change of clothes. So if you're not wearing Rotary attire, that'll be $3. And if you are not helping out at one of the events this weekend, either Saturday or Sunday, that'll be $2 per day. Everybody stay safe and healthy. Have a wonderful and marvelous holiday and happy New Year. And please, everybody, stay safe and healthy.
Thank you, Alan. We appreciate it, and happy holidays to you. Back at you, and thanks for raising some money for our club, Alan.
Oh, wait, I have one more. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I'm remiss. And I looked up and I thought of Bob Fleischer. And I don't see Bob here today, but his response was very unique because he said it was Christmas in Seville, 1966, Passover in Gibraltar, 1966. These two, while not movies, could have been as those were crazy times and places for young Mr. Fleischer. So I think at one of our meetings, we should have young Mr. Fleischer to explain to us what happened in Seville and Gibraltar in 1966. And Nanette, please put in the buzz, since Mr. Fleischer is not here, he'll have to pay $10 fine, once for Seville and one for Gibraltar. Thank you. And now I promise I'm done for the day. I'm fine.
Thank you, Alan. And, I actually think there's a chance we do have Bob Fleischer here. He's just one of the call-in people.
Oh, good. Then he knows he has to pay $10. One for Seville, one for Gibraltar.
Thank you very much. And guys, we have a truly special speaker this week, and Bob has done such a great job in getting us great speakers this year that this one is, of course, exceptional. And I think anyone who's grown up around the Chicago area and watching our local news stations knows about a fabulous reporter named Paul Meineke from ABC 7 Chicago, who is here today to share with us some great stories of his time there. And I'll turn it over right now to Mr. Paul Meineke. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you, Wesley.
Hi, Paul.
Thank you, everybody. I think the United States government should hire Mr. Gabe. We might be able to satisfy the national debt with his work. $2 here, $2 there. That's going to take care of it. I was recently talking with Mr. Fleischer, and I mentioned to him that I thought about opining. Are we okay? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. You're good. Yep, you're good. Loud and clear.
I guess we're okay.
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
I mentioned to him, I thought about opining on, assaults on the Fourth Estate, because as you know, we have been proclaimed the enemy of the American people. But I thought, well, we're all pretty exhausted from that stuff. So I think we'll give it a rest. I thought instead that I might take a trip down memory lane and tell you of some journeys from my own experience that sort of confirmed that news gathering is a clumsy, awkward business that is terribly unrefined, mistake prone. Often the mistakes are forgivable, sometimes they are not. It's a business that can be sad and tragic, but it also carries a significant risk, and sometimes it can be just downright fun. It's a business not unlike many others. It has its share of inflated egos and self-promoters, but the vast majority of people that I've worked with over the years value fact and cherish fact over fun, and will work to the ends of the earth to make it so. I grew up in Rock Island, and I worked, back then we had only two channels. We had NBC and CBS, so we were a family that watched Cronkite, and we also watched Huntley Brinkley. And there wasn't a whole lot on television, so my folks were not tyrannical about it, but they wanted my brother and sister and I to stay current. So we watched a good share of news. And when the conventions came on in 1960, fed, I think, in part by the charisma of young Jack Kennedy, we watched the conventions. We didn't go gavel to gavel, but we watched a good portion of it. And I remember back then being impressed with a fella, an NBC correspondent at the time. He later worked for ABC. His name was Sander Van Oker. And I thought he was terribly impressive because he could work the convention floor. He had this antenna sticking out of his head, and he seemed to really know what he was talking about. And years later, when I got into the business, I saw a quote that was attributed to Mr. Van Oker. He said, "The keys to success in broadcast journalism are sincerity and integrity. And once you've learned how to fake those two things, you've got it made." I guess he laid the groundwork back then for fake news. So I thought, I want to see if he really said that, because I saw some quotes that were similar but were attributed to other people. So I thought, well, I'm going to try to track down Mr. Van Oker. I called a number of places, sent emails, didn't get a response, and I thought, oh, well, I guess he's not going to get back to me. But one day I'm sitting in the newsroom. I was not there very often. The phone rang. I answered it. "Paul?" "Yes." "This is Sandy Van Oker." And I went, "Really? Mr. Van Oker, how are you?" And he says, "I understand you wanted to know if a certain quote was originated by me." And I said, "Yes, I'd like that." "What was it?" And I said, "Well, here it is." And I told him about it. He paused for the longest time, and then he said, "That sounds pretty good. I think I'll take credit for that." And by the way, when you get a chance, perhaps you can say hello to my good friend, Newt Minow. He and Newt Minow, who, as you may know, was Jack Kennedy's first commissioner of the Federal Communications Commission, and coined the term television as a vast wasteland. I said, well, I don't hang with Newt Minow very much, but when I do see him, I'll let him know you said hi. And I did, in fact, run into Mr. Minow years later on a story, and I belatedly sent him the greetings from his former college roommate. I did 30 years as a general assignment reporter at Channel 7, covering murder, mayhem, and crime against humanity, but I did get a chance to do some field trotting, learned a number of things along the way. I spent 4 years in Cleveland before that, and 7 years in my hometown of Rock Island, where I co-anchored the news there. And the young lady that I co-anchored with was recently acknowledged to be a pioneer in her own right. She was the first female in what was then an all-male business to report and anchor a medium market newscast. She was inducted into the Silver Circle, as it's called, kind of a local Hall of Fame. I told her not to let it go to her head, and I have an occasion to tell her that quite often because she's been my wife for the last 37 years. We have 4 sons, and the number 3 son, Bill, had Jack Shepard at Forest Elementary School many years ago. And Jack introduced all the kids to chess, and they went crazy playing chess. They started tournaments, and my wife remembered driving the kids around all the way to St. Louis for tournaments. Mary Jo, I don't know if you guys have had a chance to see The Queen's Gambit, but when we watched that the other night, it was quite good and reminded me of Jack. So, Bill, I talked to Bill a little bit ago. He says to say hi to Jack. And thanks for all the chess. We have no grandmasters in the family.
He started it, and of course, he didn't stop. He watched it, the whole series nonstop.
Yeah, it's a good. If you get a chance, if you're not seeing it, please do so.
Yes, he still plays chess all the time. So if anybody's a chess player, my husband's always looking for a challenge.
Oh. Well, the last 5 years, I retired full time in 2015, and the last 5 years I've spent doing contributing reporting, and it was really a delight because I wasn't encumbered by the day-to-day drudgery of the challenges of putting something on the air a minute 30 or less to tell people about the state of the world. And I was given the freedom to do a lot of stories that I thought would be quite meaningful. I could pick my own pieces, and my bosses were just fabulous in allowing me, not constraining me with time. I got to pick my own subjects, and I did a wide variety of pieces. One with a lady whose Afghan veteran son came home and was so despondent about not being able to fit in with life. He went out, bought a gun, put it to his head, and was going to take his own life. And he refrained from doing so because he'd adopted a dog, and he didn't want to leave the dog without a master. But anyway, his mom went full face on camera and explained about all this. And her mission was to find the right people to navigate a very difficult system, to find assistance for parents, not just the sons or daughters, but also parents. And how do you get through this? Well, she managed to do that. She got in touch with the right people. They got in touch with him. They interceded, and he began to get back on his own 2 feet, and they were a success story. I thought that was particularly meaningful. And then one day we go out on the Illinois River with the Carp Cowboys, DNR hired fishermen who patrol the river and rev up their motors, and the Asian carp go crazy, and they jump into the boat. And it's highly intellectual stuff, but great fun. Not for my cameraman who got whacked in the side of the head by one of these fish. They're pretty good sized creatures. But the whole idea is to keep fish from getting into Lake Michigan. Anyway, I wanted to continue that, but as we all know, along came COVID, and then I had some health issues of my own. Last January, I had an elephant on my chest, and I went to the hospital, and found out that it was not a heart attack, but it was, well, to make it simple to understand, my aorta blew a gasket. And so the doctors, who are quite exceptional there, inserted what they call the Dacron sleeve around it. And my aortic valve was leaking, so they had to replace it, and they put a piece of cow inside me. So I'm now part bovine, and my thirst for milkshakes, which was always pretty substantial before, is now increased tenfold. I got to watch it because of the weight, you know. But the doctors keep saying, you're lucky, lucky, lucky to be alive, which I think is doctor code for you should be dead. Fortunately, I'm not. Anyway, I couldn't go back to the newsroom now because I'm vulnerable, and it's very odd, like all of our lives. There's nobody in the newsroom. This is a place that was teeming with people, busy, busy, busy all the time. Now there are 4 or 5 people in the newsroom. Everything else is done remotely. It's a real technological challenge, and the fellows who've been able, the men and women who've been able to put this together, have done a masterful job at getting newscasts on the air. I don't know how they do it. But I want to take you back to November of 1991. It's a cold November day. There's a flood in Highland, Indiana, and I'm assigned to do a piece for the 10 o'clock news. We get there, and I'm with photographer Gene Standbeck, and we don't have a whole lot of video from the scene out on the water. So we're fortunate because the police chief is there and one of his officers, and they say, well, we'll take you out in our John boat, and you can get all the pictures you want. So we're four pretty good sized guys. And we get in the boat, the chief's in the bow, then Eugene with his camera, then me, and then the young officer. We go out and take all the pictures that we need. We're getting ready to come back. We turn around, and for some reason, the young officer in the back of the boat fired up the throttle so fast that the distribution of weight, we're all pretty good sized guys, the bow just kind of dips in the water and we're sinking. And it's a surreal moment when you look down and you think, well, I'm with the police. We're not supposed to sink. And in fact, we went in. Down we go, the Titanic. Eugene, my photographer, I learned later, did not swim. He's got a 10-pound battery belt around his waist and a $50,000 camera on his shoulder that he's trying to keep out of the water. And he manages to do that. I'm in a trench coat, and I kicked to a nearby tree, grabbed a hold of a branch, and pulled myself up, got out of the water. Suddenly, quite quickly realized that it's too cold out here, so I better get back in the water. All the time I'm looking over my shoulder for Eugene. He managed to make it. He couldn't save the camera. It was found many months later with a lot of moss around it. It was lost. We were self-insured. The station wasn't happy about that. We were not wearing PFDs. It's a lesson that I told my scout troop about many, many times over. Anytime you get on the water, you put on a life jacket. Well, anyway, the chief's radio still worked. So he called back to base. They sent out another boat. There were 4 cops in the boat. There was no room for us. So 2 of the cops had to sit on the roof and the house because the water was up. It was really a nasty current. It was up to the water, up to the roof line. So we got in the boat and they took us back to our base of operations. And as I got out of the boat, I see the light from a camera shining on me, and it's Phil Walters from Channel 5. And Phil Walters runs up to me with a microphone. He sticks it in my face and he says, "What happened?" I said, well, we sank. We sank, and it was not of our making. And then he asked a few more questions. I had suddenly become the subject of the story as opposed to covering it. They put us in an ambulance. It was a funeral home dispatched ambulance. And they took us to the funeral home. And we checked ourselves every once in a while to make sure that we're still alive. We had to get word back to the station that we didn't have a camera anymore, and we had to be on at 10 o'clock. So I tried to call on an 800 number that we had back then. We didn't have cell phones. And the 800 number worked, but not from Indiana. For some reason, we didn't have Indiana included. That was a brain fart. That's been changed since. Then we tried to call collect, and they wouldn't accept my call. So I said to Joe Cussman, who was our truck operator, I said, "Joe, you're going to have to get word back to the station. We need a camera down here fast. And maybe you can pick me up some clothes because my shirt's all scuzzy from the floodwaters." So Joe left and he came back and he made contact with the station. They were going to send a camera. We're going to be okay. We don't have much new stuff to show people, but we'll be all right. And then he says, "And I got your shirt from Kmart. It was a nice white shirt." And I said, "Well, that's swell." Then he handed me a package of 6 pairs of underpants. I said, "Well, what'd you do this for?" And he says, "Well, they were having a special." So we were fully equipped. A short time later, there was another incident in Indiana. It was in Hammond. And there was a disgruntled man who was in a domestic dispute with his wife. He had taken a shotgun, followed her to the domestic court in the city hall chambers there. He shot and killed her, and then he turned the gun on himself. All the stations are there. We all have our live trucks. Our masts are up in the air, and there's a nasty, nasty thunderstorm headed our way. This wouldn't happen today. All the stations have adopted a policy where you don't risk it. You don't put the mast up because you're asking for trouble. You're inviting a lightning strike. Anyway, we're all set up. I'm getting ready to go on at 4 o'clock. Joel Daly is anchoring. And I have a group of kids behind me, as kids often do. They want to jump up and down and be on TV. And just as Joel throws me my lead in, there is the biggest thunderclap I've ever heard in my life, and a white flash of light. There's no separation between light flash and boom, so it was right by us. I'm hardwired to the truck, as it's called. My microphone jack is plugged into the side of the truck. I'm holding it in my hand, my left hand, and all of a sudden I feel this real nasty tingle go through my lower arm and up my body and up my neck. And I went, I wasn't sure what I was saying, but words were still coming out of my mouth. Out of the corner of my eye, I see all the kids behind me, and they all hit the deck. And I thought, for a fleeting moment, I think they're all dead. What happened? Well, I threw to the insert, the tape plays, and I came out on the other end, and Joel says, "Are you all right?" And I said, "Well, I think so. I'm still here, and it looks like everybody else is too." And afterwards, my boss called me and said, "You got to get yourself to the hospital right away." So they took me to the hospital. I felt fine. I walked into the emergency room, and the security guard was watching Channel 7, and he had it on over his head. And he said, "Hey, you're that guy that got hit by lightning a few minutes ago." And I said, "Well, I don't know if that's what it was, but yeah, I think I did." And then he says, "Well, that was a real revolting development, wasn't it?" Ha 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 ha. Humor, always humor.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So after that, my next contract came around, and I thought about asking my boss to allow me to have the first right of refusal covering any story in Indiana. That didn't work that way, so I had to continue. Before the flood of 91, there was the Gulf War. It was my chance to be a card-carrying war correspondent. Not. We were in Dhahran, Saudi Arabia, for 5 weeks, watching news feeds, reading pool reports. We were unable to really get out and do any reporting. We had to regurgitate. We watched those smart bomb strikes, and then we would frame stories around that. It was really kind of an exercise in sleep deprivation. I had to work all night long because our broadcast schedule was here and we were there. But we still had to get up in the morning too and go out and gather as much news, or at least run through the whole process as best we could. I had to do hourly live shots for the ABC affiliates, and we were on a camera platform. And I remember seeing Bill Redeker, who was a correspondent for ABC when the war began. He's seated in front, he was on the camera platform, and behind him are these things that look like missile silos. In reality, it was just a health club at the Hotel International. And anyway, our camera people are told that whenever you hear the sirens go off, lift the camera up. Don't stay on the reporter. Lift the camera up so we can see the bombs coming in that are going to kill all the people on the camera platform. And if that didn't work, there was a petrochemical field probably a stone's throw away. And if it had hit there, a scud, we would have been all toast. So I'm there 4 o'clock one morning, and I'm doing a live shot for the Mountain Time Zone, any affiliate that wants to pick it up. And the sirens go off. And the camera starts going up, and I have a tendency to want to continue to go up with him. But it turned out to be a false alarm. We were quite fortunate. A couple weeks later, however, there was a scud that hit a mess hall a couple clicks down the road, and that was the deadliest night of the war for the coalition forces, because there were a couple of dozen people who were in the mess hall that were killed. It was frustrating because we were so confined. I couldn't get out. My obligations were to handle the news for the affiliate, so I could get out and actually report. And some of the network correspondents were terribly frustrated by their inability to get out. Forrest Sawyer, who was with ABC at the time, said, "I'm not going to follow the rules." And he took a crew, got up to the border in Kuwait. And as soon as they arrived at the border, their weapons only being cameras, they ran into Iraqi soldiers. And 3 Iraqi soldiers on the spot surrendered to Forrest Sawyer of ABC News. So much for conflict in the desert. We got into Kuwait at the end, and we hooked up with a British news caravan. And let me tell you, the BBC boys don't take anything off anybody. They're tough as nails. And we ran into a Saudi colonel at the border, and he was not going to let us pass because we didn't have the proper paperwork, he said. Well, the Brits kind of hammered him and bullied him to the extent that he finally gave up. And they told him, "We're going to come back tomorrow morning and we'll bring you all the paperwork you need." Of course, we weren't going to do that, so that was fake news. And we managed to get in. We're riding into the outskirts of Kuwait City, which is a very modern place. The lights were on above the expressway, which is littered with the remnants of blown up tanks and trucks and all kinds of armament. And we pass a vehicle that has 4 flat tires. It's another reporter from our hotel back in Dhahran. We got out briefly to help him, but there wasn't much we could do because we didn't have 4 spares to give him. As we're standing there, out of the darkness come 4 young men, all carrying their AK-47s, wearing their Gotras. They look particularly fierce. We all have our press passes on. And on occasions like that, you sometimes don't know whether you should show your press pass or whether that's going to do you harm by doing so. But they see them anyway, and they all said almost simultaneously, Mr. Bush, we love Mr. Bush. And so what they really wanted from us was some of the gasoline we were hauling. We had a trailer, and we were hauling the gas to power all of our satellites. And so we gave them some. We were actually kind of a rolling bomb going down the road, hauling all this gasoline. But they were happy. They went off into the night, and we had made new friends. We stayed overnight in our cars at the airport in Kuwait City, which had been the scene of a tank battle the night before. We were groggy when we woke up, but there was absolutely no one around. It was deathly quiet. There were no human beings to be seen anywhere. And a couple of hours pass. We go to what's called the Hotel International. We set up camp there. And pretty soon, people started to wake up. And they came out of their homes, and they all had guns. And they all started shooting into the air. Bang, 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 bang. And we're on the deck of the International Hotel because it's a good place where you get a perspective on Kuwait City. And all of a sudden, ping, 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 bullets are coming down. Gravity rules. What goes up must come down. One of the guys from the ABC Bureau in London got clipped in the leg, so we all had to run inside to get out of the way of falling bullets. I didn't get on the air very much there because it was just a mad scramble. And I finally did get on just one time with Floyd Calver, who was anchoring back home. I was so hungry, somebody gave me a pastry. I jammed it in my mouth and was eating it so quickly that I didn't realize I was eating the wrapper as well. And at points like that, it really doesn't matter. You just got to get something in your tummy. We left, and as we left to go back to Dhahran, you remember the oil well fires that the Iraqis set when they left Kuwait City. The smoke from those fires made it darker than night during the middle of the day. And the heat was so intense, it was like the spire of fire from the 10 Commandments. When we rounded a corner to get back on the main highway going back to Saudi Arabia, the heat from 30 yards away was so intense that we had to duck down and get our heads away from it as much as possible. And we just blew out of there as fast as we can. We returned to Dhahran, and we had a fixer back there, a guy who kind of made things work for us when we needed stuff. He said, would you guys like some scotch maybe? I can get you some scotch. Ken Nomick, my photographer, said, yeah, I'd love a little scotch. And then we said, well, he said, actually, you should know that there is a penalty if you get caught with this. I said, well, what would that penalty be? And he said, well, you probably won't be beheaded, but you might lose a hand or two. And I said, well, I think we can hold off. And we held off on our Johnny Walker until we reached Bahrain sometime later. I had one other overseas mission. It came in 1999. And maybe you remember when Jesse Jackson went to Serbia, went to Belgrade with a religious delegation. And his effort was to free 3 U.S. servicemen who had been captured there. And he was quite a distinguished group of people. And we ended up staying at the Hyatt Hotel, which was a nice place, overlooking downtown Belgrade, which was a very gray place with a lot of unhappy people. And in the lobby that night, the first night we were there, were all these fellows who would later be tried in The Hague for atrocities, mass murder. And everybody knew who they were and what they were about. Nobody messed with them. They had the freedom of doing what they wanted to do back then. I I went to bed that night and woke up about 4 o'clock in the morning. The building was shaking. And I went to the window to look out, and downtown Belgrade was being bombed. The building was shaking not because of the bomb, not because of the attacks, but because, as I later learned, of an earthquake. But one of those bombs had hit, an errant smart bomb had hit a house, and it killed one of the locals. We were not so much invited, but commanded to get on the bus and come and look at that. So we all board the bus, Jackson and everybody else in the delegation, and we went to downtown Belgrade. The area had already been ribboned off. We got out of the buses and we got our cameras out and we started taking pictures. And you could feel the temperature of the crowd going up. We're very unhappy. We were the enemy. We were the bomb bringers, and they wanted to let us know that they were unhappy with us. So they began to pick up rocks, which is not usually a pretty good sign. And they're yelling and screaming. And one lady who was particularly menacing is standing there, and I'm pretty close to her, and she's yelling and screaming in English. I look at her, and she's wearing a Chicago Bulls t-shirt with a big picture of Michael Jordan on the front. And I'm thinking, this is a very curious world. And I think I'm going to be like Mike and get the heck out of here. So we all boarded the bus not long after that, and we took off. One of the fellows who was on that trip was Rod Blagojevich. He was a congressman back then. And it became pretty apparent to me when riding with him and talking with him on the bus that he had his eyes set on a much higher prize. I covered the higher prize. Higher prize didn't turn out as he wished. I covered both of his corruption trials, which included some really bizarre behavior, and I'm sure most of you remember a lot of that. Rod never met a hand he was unwilling to shake. And he would arrive at the Dirksen building every morning. There would be crowds outside, and they would sometimes be cheering him. And he read that as adulation, when in fact, they were mostly just curiosity seekers who saw the cameras and all the attention. But Rod would continue this when he'd go in the building. He'd talk to everybody. He drove the marshals out of their minds because they're trying to maintain some semblance of security. Rod would go up to everybody, including on a couple of occasions, he got pretty close to jurors, and that's a definite no-no. He, one time, I went to the bathroom, and it was kind of an awkward appearance because standing in a urinal next to a governor accused of corruption is always odd. And his brother was in there. Robert was in as well. And it's a really odd conversation when Rod begins by saying, "Hey, Rob," and they didn't get along, by the way. "Rob, you know, Paul and I were in Belgrade together. What do you say to this?" Well, anyway, Rod, as you know, in the first trial was convicted only of lying to the FBI, but the second trial, the government rearranged the charges, which were quite confusing the way they'd laid them out. The instructions were very difficult for the jury to understand. One day, as he's leaving, it was a slow news day. There was not a lot of interesting news generated out of this particular day. But one day, as he's leaving, there is a tour bus going by, and there is one guy from out of town on the upper level on the bus. And the tour guide, who's on a microphone on the lower level, is saying, as he passes, "Oh, this is the Dirksen Federal Building where they conduct criminal trials. And the trial going on right now is the trial of former Governor Rod Blagojevich." And there he is. And right on cue, Rod goes, "Hey, how are you? How are you?" to one guy on the bus. He never met a crowd he didn't like. And I used that night on the news. And it was quite funny and sad, but also reflected later on when he went to prison. We're in Denver, in the Denver area, and Chuck Gowdy was following in his vehicle. He had a live camera on the Governor Blagojevich, and I was out in front of the prison. And I'm reporting, and I'm saying, "Here comes the governor and two of his attorneys. They're going to check into the main gate over here, and here's what's going to happen. And here comes the governor, and there goes the governor." He kept driving around. And why not? He arrived early. Who wants to go to prison early? So he drove through the neighborhood for a while, and he wound up driving to Freddy's Frozen Custard and Steak Burgers. where he went in to proceed to shake hands with everybody under the sun and just continue this campaign. It was just kind of odd, but in keeping with the way he had conducted himself. Well, that's kind of a snapshot. More than 30 years. There was a lot more than 30 years. It was George Ryan and Jeffrey Dahmer, the heroics of the crash of United 232. Richard Daley's occasional mangling of the English language, which was also great fun to cover. The craziness of the Loop flood in 92, and it's remarkable to believe in a couple of years that event will have happened 30 years ago. I do want to say this, that nearly all the people that I worked with and competed against over the years were honest, straightforward fact finders, more interested in telling the truth than offering up their opinion. But sadly today, we tend to receive our news inside the silos that reflect and reinforce the views that we already have. And I don't know how that gets cured. What we do know is that we can never be fully objective. We all carry our own biases into life, but we have an obligation to be fair and to give voice to all who have a relevant opinion. The line between reporting and opinion, at least on cable, is no longer blurred. It's been obliterated. And it leaves us wondering who and what to believe. It's quite different than the old days in 1968, when Walter Cronkite clearly announced that he was going to offer subjective opinion on the war in Vietnam, and it changed mood and attitude toward the war. I guess the old line is true. If your mother says she loves you, you better check it out. And I say that with great measure of sincerity and integrity. Maybe. But I'm happy, if you have questions, I'm happy to shoot an answer.
Yeah, Paul,
Ladies and gentlemen, Paul Meineke.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
This is Jim Fabrini, and I guess I'm wondering, because you have commented on it so much, where do you think that this is going to land with the news media and all of the what they call quote unquote fake news? I mean, I heard that the internet has there are some programs that allow you to change what a person says, and they said they're not letting it out yet, but I'm thinking that it's going to make things even worse for what we listen to. I mean, I've kind of like not been listening to the news because I'm worried that I'm getting information that's bad. And my wife loves the news, but the thing is like, where do you see this going in the future? I mean, how do you see us moving forward with listening to news?
I don't really answer that question, but it's interesting that a lot of the networks and a lot of the newspapers have fact finders assigned to what they do. And most of the networks, anyway, not the local stations, keep news conferences from the past. So you're able to kind of build a case. A lot of the stuff that President Trump has said over the years they've been able to bring that back and establish a pattern of behavior. I'm not really sure where it goes, but I think truth squatting has always been valuable. And I would suggest that you check out multiple sources. If there's any reason to doubt someone that you're hearing from, then you've got to go to other sources and check it out. The proliferation of the internet stuff over the years here has given rise to this notion that, you listen in your own to stuff that you subscribe to, and then suddenly you've got tools to find information, but that information may not be true at all. And then you say, well, the mainstream media has been fibbing because look what I found on the internet. Well, check it out. Check it out. Multiple source it. Make sure that it's true. And in many cases, you'll find that it's not. I had a good friend, a scout friend, who posted a picture of a woman who he represented to be a congressman from Michigan, who is one of the gang of four that's been much ridiculed. And it wasn't her at all. It was another lady from years ago. He picked it up on the internet. He believed it to be true. He passed it along. And I scolded him and I said, you're as guilty in passing that along as the originators of this stuff. This is not true. It should not be allowed to pass. And we don't really have mechanisms to police that other than people of good conscience who want to tell the truth. So I guess I really don't know the answer to where this is going to go. But I do know that the more people who are truth squatting it, the better off we are.
Thank you. And I just want to say I was riveted. I was riveted at your speech today. Thank you. Appreciate it. I appreciate you showing up.
That's a good question.
Go ahead, Eileen.
Paul, thanks so much. I've always enjoyed your reporting, and today's program was really very enjoyable and enlightening. I just wonder what is it that you find most satisfactory? What gives you the greatest pleasure in what you do? Because it's not always an easy job, that's for sure. And kind of what drives you and what keeps you going?
A lot of people get into the business because they believe that they may change the world. And you lose that feeling pretty quickly. But if you can tell a story that changes a bad pattern or practice, or if you can bring some relief, like I mentioned, the lady who's searching for the right people to get in touch with her son, that reward is just endless. When somebody calls up and says, you made a difference, you made a difference with that story, that's so absolutely rewarding. We had a number of stories about a fella in one of the suburbs who was just a much beloved guy, but in fact, he was a crook and he was taking everybody for their life savings. These people couldn't get any satisfaction, but they wanted to tell their story. They wanted a voice. So we did a number of stories about a guy named Anthony Capetta, and the people who were subjects to those stories did manage to recover some of their money, not just because we did stories on it, but because the system worked for them. So when you can bring some satisfaction when a wrong has been done, that's enormously gratifying.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I see we are. Go ahead, Mary Jo. Go with one.
On the humorous side, I maybe it was the year my husband had Bill, but he told me a story once that you were on a float with Sammy Sosa in the Dominican Republic.
Oh yeah.
And you're trying to hold onto your wallet and hold the microphone at the same time.
Yeah, that was Sammy was he was Dominican, and my I went up to him, they threw a mic in his face. He was in this big SUV. And all of a sudden, I've got 4 or 5 hands in my pockets. They're grabbing at my wallet. They're grabbing everything. And my wallet was so stuffed, not with money, but with other papers. They couldn't get it out of my pocket. But they did get my passport. So I was stuck in the Dominican Republic without a passport. I couldn't get home. I had to go to the embassy, and they managed to put something together, and I got out of there. But that was an unpleasant experience because I had so many hands in my pants. I didn't know whether my pants were going to remain on my body.
It sounds like Mardi Gras. Oh
yeah.
Mr. Meineke, I think I speak for the entire club in saying you had us at the edge of our seat like your reporting has for the last number of years. And we so appreciate you coming to share your time with us. And we look forward to the many volumes you could write about your time as a reporter. That was truly tremendous. And thank you for spending your time with us.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you very much.
Write a book.
Keep up the good word, Rotarians.
I do have one question for Mr. Moore.
Join us, Paul. Hey, Wes,
Okay.
could you ask Foundation Board to stick on for a couple seconds afterwards so we can talk about that item?
You just did, and I think Alan had one more thing before we
Yeah,
adjourn.
Paul, how does Chuck County keep tan all the time?
I don't know the answer to that question. He used to go into a tanning booth, but I think it's natural now. He's got a great tan, doesn't he?
Paul?
Say hi for him.
Paul,
Yeah.
when did you graduate from Augustana?
Terry Park, how are you?
I'm fine, Paul. I just want to take a moment and say, as much as he was involved in making the press work and informing people, he still took time for years of working with the scouting community, developing young men of character, and I commend you on all of that effort through the years for scouting.
Thank you very much, Terry. Thanks. It's been a great ride. Great ride.
Paul, I believe you're an Augustana College grad.
I am.
When did you graduate?
1972.
Oh, well, year before I got there.
Okay. Kenny Anderson was there. He graduated a year ahead of me.
Yep.
He was a tremendous athlete. Good guy too. Really good guy.
He played
My only claim to fame is I beat him in badminton.
Nice. Anything else, Alan? You had one more thing you want to add?
Nope. Just thanks, everybody. Stay safe.
Paul, on a
Thank you,
personal
everyone.
note, did you have all 4 boys get engaged at the same Christmas?
We had 3 weddings all the year before COVID struck, so we were real fortunate there. Our one son, who is not married but living with his lovely lady, they're not engaged, but they just announced to us that they might have a baby anyway. So
Congratulations.
go for it. We're the only grandkids we have are dogs. We want some grandkids. Bring it on, so we can play chess with them.
All right, everybody.
Great.
We're going to let Paul get on with the rest of his day with our sincere thanks, and we're going to end our meeting the way that we always end our meetings. And since I see Mary Jo Shepherd unmuted and right in front of me, Mary Jo, would you be so kind as to lead us in the 4-way test of the things we think, say, and do this one last time in 2020?
Is it the truth?
Is it?
Is it fair to all concerned? Will it bring goodwill and better friendship? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thank you, everyone. And remember this week to remind everyone through your actions that Rotary opens opportunities. Thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah.
Bye-bye. Have a wonderful year.
Edmund, can you stay on too with anybody that's on the foundation? We have a money question. Is Glenn there?
Yes.
Glenn's here, I hope. Good. Hi, Daryl. I just wanted to bring up that we had a last minute, rather large donation from a member. And Wes, does he want to remain anonymous, or can we mention who it is?
Former member Royal Hartwig donated $2,000 to us and had long conversations with me about to what that could go to for immediate impact. Not trying to, as Pat did a good job of explaining, not trying to earmark it for a future program, just trying to say, I want this to go to whatever you guys got going on right now. The answer to that, what do you guys got going on right now, is that we are, it's a little bit past time, but the HEC POC gift for families.
The adopted families, right.
Seems as though it is the best use of those funds.
So that,
go ahead, Eileen.
yeah, that decision was made by Royal that he would like to support that. My question is, the donations that have come in have all been matched by the foundation. And I'm hoping that we had $4,415 donated by members, and the foundation matched that. So we now have another $2,000, which is a donation. Is this going to qualify also for matching from the foundation? And all of this money is going to HEC POC. We will be buying bank cards for 60 families. And Nancy's been working on this and has it all handled. And Heritage Bank even waived the bank card fee, since it's us, to not have any cost, which would have been several $100s. So I just want to know, and that's why I asked for people to stay on that are on the foundation, if that's going to qualify, because we need to get a decision basically today. So it's a question, does this additional 2,000 qualify for the matching foundation money?
And obviously, Glenn, that question is right for you. Eileen asked me, and I deferred that question to you. So you're up, buddy.
And I see Vince is still on, which is good.
I guess the question to Nancy would be, is this 2,000 plus another 2,000 going to make 5 more people appreciative, or is it just going to add to the total amount? I mean, it comes a time when you're oversaturated.
Oh, we're not going to be oversaturated on this group.
Actually, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
I actually feel, in all honesty, we shouldn't ask the foundation to match that because it didn't come in under that we were soliciting for that at that time. And as of now, because of the time getting the gift cards, I think we had bought 10 gift cards for $200 a piece, and then we bought 50 for $155. And my thought and suggestion would be to go ahead and add $40 more to those 50 cards we got, and then they're all close to getting $200. You know, I mean, we're real close where we got to give these out like Monday or Tuesday. So, and I'm working with the bank to try to get this to work. So that would just be my thought, is to not ask the foundation for matching funds and just bring them all up to almost being equal. That's.
I have a question. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
So Nancy, I cut the check based on what you sent to me for receipts. Sent that to you in the mail. Glenn signed it yesterday, so you should get it today or maybe Monday.
Okay.
The additional $2,000. Did somebody get the check? Does somebody have the check?
Sorry, Gary, and sorry to bring it up to you in this context. It was my intention to just shoot you an email after this. Royal's check, he mailed it to me. I will make sure to get it to you so it is deposited in the foundation's account.
Okay.
And I would just give you an additional billing from the bank because they don't even have the card yet. But as soon as I get it, he'll give me a new one, and you could just add the additional $2,000 to that, you know, separate.
Yeah, it would have to be a separate check since I mailed out the other one. Yeah.
And if that's the case, this requires no action by this body.
So does everybody agree with?
Correct.
So would we want to not do it, or do we want to do it? See, I, for one, would like to, I think that it qualifies, but I go with whatever you guys feel is the.
Why not
That's the
help
best.
10 more families with, $200 gift cards?
Because we're at Friday afternoon at 2:00. We have to work with agency to get more names. We have to see if the bank has more cards, which they ordered these specifically for us.
Yeah.
I think we're running into a time crunch.
Yeah, we have to work with the 60 families we have, Holly, and those are identified and vetted. We don't have time to do anything else. It would have only been that we would have increased our gift. That would be the only thing, which is what we're going to do with the 2,000. And I thought if it qualified from foundation money, then it would just put that much more into the hands of these folks that really need it. But I'm good either way. I just wanted to put it out there too. So Nancy, you're suggesting we leave it go and don't go for matching.
That's what I'm suggesting.
Okay.
Okay. I got a question for you, Nancy.
Yeah.
When you get these gift cards, it seems like there's normally a charge for them.
Heritage Bank is waiving the charge for us.
But if I mean, just in general, if I went out and wanted to buy, $500 worth of gift cards, I'd have to pay some kind of a charge.
$5.95 a card. $5.95 a card.
Oh, wow.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
it
bank,
is.
because it's a bank card. It's not like a Walmart card. And Nancy was running into so many hassles trying to get retail outlet cards. It was crazy. And because there's scams that are run on those cards, and I think that's why they monitor them the way they do. And so she got Heritage to waive the fee, which would have been over $300.
Which is nice. Yeah.
Great.
So great job, Nancy. Okay.
It sounds like to me that we should just take, since Nancy's really been the one that's been fronting this program, it sounds to me we should just take her advice and do whatever you're going to do with the $2,000, and there's no action needed from the foundation.
When we talked earlier, Nancy, I hadn't even thought about this. And that's why it was during this meeting that I thought about it. And that's why I asked people to stay on. Thank you all for sticking around. And I totally agree. Nancy's suggestion, she's been leading it. She should,
thank you.
That counts for a lot.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas, Rotarians.
Yes. Very nice.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Gary, are you still on?
Happy New Year.
Gary?
Thank you, guys.
Well, I'm going to go, but I'll leave the meeting open so you guys can commiserate.
All right.
Do you need any of us?
I mean, Glenn, do you agree with what I said? You okay with that?
Yeah, yes. I mean, there's no really need to spend that, to expedite another $2,000.
This
I
will
agree with
even
you.
it out with just using the two, it'll even it out almost, so.
And that was the consensus of the club board when we discussed it prior to the club meeting, was that we would not go for the match.
Okay, no one shared that with me, so I didn't know.
You're always trying to get more money, Eileen.
You betcha.
And it's part of what we love about you, Eileen.
That's why she gets it done.
Hey, if you don't ask, you don't get, guys. Remember that.
Always be closing.
See you all later. Bye.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yes, happy.
Thank you so much.
I plan to give you a call on that other matter. Okay?
Who, me?
Me?
No, Gary.
Oh, okay.
Gary.
Okay. Hey, and when Glenn
Call
says,
ya.
give me a call, we will call.
Okay, our next
Bye,
meeting
guys.
our next meeting would be January 8th, correct?
He's gone now.
Well, I mean, that's the first Friday after New Year's. I mean, New Year's is on a Friday. So
Correct.
January 8th would be the first Friday in January that we would meet.
Yeah.
Okay. Everybody, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Yep. Same to you. Do
Um,
you want to just talk about it now, Glenn?
I guess we could. I didn't have a chance to go. Vince, stay on because you're the vice chairman.
Okay.
So, as I gather from your email, I didn't have a chance to look at that link you sent me.
Right.
Is this how serious is this?
I don't know. That's why I brought it to you.
Wait, I don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah, I'm gonna fill you in right now. So
maybe you should know this.
I sent Sean Parker an email to try and get some quarterly reports for George, so he could do looking at the benchmarks and stuff for the entire third quarter. Never got a response from Sean, so I went to the Ameriprise website because I thought I had her wrong email address. Searched around the Ameriprise website, she's not on there.
I have her correct email address.
Well, that's besides the point, because then I tried to figure out why she's not on Ameriprise anymore, and it turns out that she was asked to resign by Ameriprise, and it's something that's public information that I found on a brokerage website that I used to look up. It's public record from FINRA is the name of the organization. They keep an eye on financial advisors to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do and they're not in trouble. I sent that information to Glenn because I think it's something that the board needs to at least have a discussion about.
What kind of trouble is she in?
Well, she resigned before they could do any, according to the website, and again, this is public record. This is what I sent to Glenn. It was either she would have to defend herself or forcibly resign from her position, and she resigned. So she's no longer with Ameriprise.
Well, that is a shock.
Yeah, well, it was a shock to me, and you know, I found out about it this morning, and I had to sit and think in my office for a couple hours about it because it's an ethical and moral situation, and we have a duty as foundation board members to do what's best for the money in the foundation. And now I have a concern. So I just asked Glenn to put it on the agenda for January so that we could, in the minutes executive session, have a discussion to see if you guys feel the same way about it that I do, or it's no big deal. Just, she never told us that she wasn't with Ameriprise anymore. She's not a financial advisor. According to this website, she had to give up both of her licenses for financial advice. And her son is the one that's listed on the account now.
Yeah, well, there was a change in ownership in her business a few months ago. where she sold her business to her son and to what is his name? The accountant, Gary. What's his name?
Spencer.
Yeah. And so they're now the principals of that business, but Sean was still somehow in the background. So most of the dealings with them has been through her son. But that is, that's really shocking news because, there's half the club invests with her.
I know. And again, I only saw what I saw on the website, and I couldn't get any type of response from her. And that's only one side of the story. So
what's the other part of the story?
I don't know. That would be Sean's side, and I don't want to. I'm not going to profess to know anything about the situation where she, it was serious enough that it got put on this website. It's what's called a disclosure, meaning there was a complaint, and that complaint caused her to have to resign.
Oh my God. Well, that's amazing.
Yeah.
She was one of the top 100 agents in the country.
Well, definitely. I mean, and after I found this out, I went and looked at the emails I got from her assistant, Kristen, because she's the one who sends me the monthly statements to send to Bill Matthews. And after the date where she resigned, the emails switched and Sean was no longer referenced on the assistant's emails. It used to be if you emailed her assistant, Kristen, she would email you back and it would say, look up Sean on Forbes and all this, and she's the best producer and all that kind of stuff. And then the email I got in June, no mention of her at all. And I didn't notice it at the time because I had no idea.
I'll be damned.
Yeah, so
I'm going to look into it because I'm one of the guys who invests with her. So, I'm going to look into it and see if I can't find out what's happening, and anything that I find out, I'll certainly report back to you guys.
Well, and again, I don't want to throw anybody under the bus. Like I said, there's always two sides to a story. But the website that this was on is a federally regulated, for public consumption website that lists if there's any complaints or disclosures about a particular financial representative. So I don't really know. Go ahead.
Gary, are you comfortable sending me that website?
Yeah. I'll just forward you the email I sent to Glenn.
All right. Yeah. If you could, because I would like to reference that when I contact her. I mean, I've got every legitimate reason to contact her. I invest with her.
Yeah. And another thing too is, in thinking about it, there's been, to my looking at the financial statements, there's been no financial damage to the foundation because of this. That's not it at all. I don't think that we're losing money or anything like that, but we just have to be careful if people invest with us and then they find out that the money's with Ameriprise and this has happened. We just don't want anything to happen to the foundation.
And her son, Justin, has been around a long time. And he's a pretty good guy. So,
okay.
Let's hope that works out okay. Jesus.
Yeah, I will forward you.
Really,
Go ahead.
so really, the way these reports are generated is really through Justin now, correct? I mean, that's the guy we should be leaning on if we need. Pardon?
His name is on them. His name is on them. It's the assistant, Kristen, who always sends them to me, and she's my contact point. And she's very good about getting me those reports very quickly at the beginning of the month. I've never talked to or met Justin, so his name's on the report. That's all.
Yeah, I've met him many times. He's a good guy. He's been part of that firm for a long time. Gary Spencer is, I'm not sure what the relationship is between her business and Gary Spencer's business, but when she sold her business, or when she transferred it, whatever the hell she did, probably as a result of whatever you're talking about, Gary Spencer and Justin are now the principals in that business, as far as I understand it. Sean hasn't been a principal in that business for a while, but she still was involved in activities. I mean, I was surprised when she stepped back because she told me, I don't know, about a year ago, I asked her if she was thinking about retiring, and she told me, no, not at all. And then all of a sudden the business changed.
Well, when I send you what I have, you'll see why.
Yeah, and I got a little suspicious as, why she went from, no, I'm never retiring, to all of a sudden she's out the door. So I was a little suspicious about that.
Okay.
All right, yeah, send me that, Gary. I'll see what's going on.
Okay.
All right, thanks,
That brief little thing that you sent me, Gary, I thought it was a compliance issue. I didn't get to read it. It's like I'm going through my email before I'm ready to get on the Rotary, and all of a sudden I see this thing from you, and it was pretty, I'm going compliance. It can mean a whole lot of things, but I could see her whole business has changed, that she's out of the business now.
Right.
And we're dealing with Justin and Gary Spencer. Correct?
That's what it
Well,
yeah.
I think primarily Justin. I don't know how much Gary Spencer has got to do with the investment side of the business. Him and his CPA firm do a lot of business. His relationship with Sean has put him in contact with Sean's customer base, and Gary has done a lot of accounting work for Sean's customers. So I don't think he's got anything to do with the investment side of the business, but his firm does a lot of business with her customers.
How much does Ameriprise look over our financials? Or what? They must look over pretty much, because they tabbed Sean for something, correct?
Right. Yeah.
I mean, if we moved over to Fidelity, we'd get a not tax, but a person, an account manager. Wouldn't that be correct?
Yeah.
Unless we went like that one part of stock we had with who were we with that we had a lot of money with for a long time, Vince?
I think it was Vanguard right before I started on the
Vanguard. Vanguard was set up by us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can open an account and then self-direct it.
Yeah, you can open an account with Vanguard online.
Yeah.
And same thing with Fidelity. You can probably do that with Ameriprise as far as I know.
Yeah.
The advantage of dealing with Ameriprise was that Sean was somebody that, we knew and trusted for many years.
Right.
So I'm not sure what happened there, but it's an interesting circumstance.
Sure.
Well, if you're a little more closer to the situation, Vince, maybe you could find out.
Yeah,
I'm
going to. I mean,
and we'll talk about it in January to see if there's some if we should be worried or not about Justin, or if she's not involved in the company no more, which may be in name only.
Well,
look at it that way.
I mean, I think that. I don't know what to think at this point. I think that I don't have any issues with Justin in my dealing with him. He's been fine, and they're obviously very closely regulated by Ameriprise, and Justin is still an Ameriprise agent. So I don't think there's any issue there. So I don't know. I mean, I just recently got my monthly statement from them, and November was a fabulous month.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't have any issue with what Ameriprise has been doing with me personally, and I would imagine for our accounts that we have there through the club. I mean, what did they go up 7.5% last month or something?
They did really well in November. Yeah.
So I think the investment is safe. It's just curious to find out. It'll be curious to find out what happened with Sean, and she certainly owes an explanation, not only to the foundation, but to lots of other members in the club as to what the hell happened. I mean,
you didn't have a party this year, did you?
No, but everybody assumed that was because of COVID. But no,
did you get a fruit? Did you get a fruit basket?
Didn't get anything.
I hear she had a pretty nice party all the time.
Oh yeah, I've been doing for several years. They're great. She has them at Chandler's. It's a luncheon. She raffles off a week at her condo. She gives lots of prizes out. I mean, it's a nice lunch. She has it at Chandler's every year. She has for a long time. And not only does she have that one, but she has one in Florida and she has one in Arizona.
Wow.
I mean, she has got, that's one big ass firm. I mean,
Yeah, definitely.
she's a big player. So whatever happened is a serious issue.
Right.
I mean,
Well, maybe the party now is in Joliet. that was just,
oh my God, that would be
bad joke.
Yeah, that would be unbelievable. Anyway, I'm going to reach out. We'll find, and I'll see what I can find out. And if I find out anything, I'll be sure to let you know.
Okay. Yeah, I'll forward that email.
All right. Yeah, Gary, forward that to me, and I'll reach out.
Okay. Thanks,
all right, guys. Happy New Year.
In case I don't see you.
Same to you.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Same to you guys.